DEI has officially ended. And if you like the sound of that, put a 47 as well, as Trump puts all U.S. government diversity staff on paid leave immediately. And you can see this article coming out 24 minutes ago from the time that I pulled it, today, January the 22nd, 2025. And it says President Donald Trump has ordered that all U.S. government staff working on diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI schemes, be put on immediate paid administration leave. The White House confirmed that all federal DEI workers had to be put on leave by 1700 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, before the office and programs in question were shut down. In an executed order issued on Tuesday, Trump also called for an end to the dangerous, demeaning, and immoral programs. It is unclear how many people are affected by the order. The American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE, which represents 800,000 federal workers, said. Since his inauguration, the president has acted swiftly on a number of key pledges through a raft of unilateral actions. He repeatedly attacked DEI practices on the campaign trail, arguing that they were discriminatory. In his inaugural address, Trump pledged to forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. DEI programs aim to promote participation in workplaces by people from a range of backgrounds. Their backers said they address historical underrepresentation and discrimination against certain groups, including racial minorities, but critics say such programs can themselves be discriminatory. On Tuesday, a memo was sent from the U.S. Office of Personnel Management to heads of the government agencies, instructing them to place DEI employees on leave. The memo had a number of requests, including the removal of public websites for DEI offices. By Thursday, federal agencies must compile a list of DEI offices and workers. By 31 January, agencies must submit a written plan for executing layoffs in DEI offices. So they are preparing to end the DEI. Now, Trump's executive order, meanwhile, took aim at what it called the illegal policies of DEI and the DEIA, or Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Accessibility, framing them as being in opposition to U.S. law. It said that these policies had the capability to violate important underlying civil rights laws that protect Americans from discrimination. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said that the move is another win for the Americans of all races, religions, and creeds, and fulfills a campaign promise made by Trump. Now, the executive order requires federal hiring, promotions, and performance reviews reward individual initiatives rather than DEI-related factors. It also requires the U.S. Attorney General to submit within 120 days recommendations to encourage the private sector to end similar diversity efforts. And the order revokes a civil rights-era executive order signed by former President Lyndon B. Johnson that makes it illegal for federal contractors to discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin when hiring. It also requires them to take affirmative action to ensure equal opportunities during employment. Revoking that order will have ripple effects in the federal and private sector, said Alvin Tillery, a political scientist and co-founder of the 2040 Strategy Group, which does DEI training in the private sector. He said that theoretically, a company with only white employees that now refuses to hire black people or Latinos or women, for example, can go for a federal contract without showing that their processes are compliant with federal diversity standards. It could also eliminate training programs aimed at curbing discrimination or reinforcing positive behavior, critics say. People are going to be ill-informed about what discrimination is and what it looks like, said Les Alderman, a D.C.-based civil rights lawyer who represents federal and congressional workers. Good-hearted people are going to be wrong about some things that we do, and it is going to have consequences. Unions representing federal employees have condemned Trump's executive order. The AFGE argues that diversity programs have reduced gender and racial pay disparities in the federal workforce. AFGE National President Everett Kelly said in a statement that removing the programs serves to undermine the merit-based civil service and turn the federal hiring and firing decisions into loyalty tests. The order was designed to intimidate and attack nonpartisan civil servants, said National Federation and Federal Workers National President Randy Irwin. Tuesday's executive order comes on the heels of a related one signed by Trump on Monday. That one declares that all DEI offices, positions, programs are to be terminated within 60 days to the maximum extent allowed by law. Among the roles targeted for elimination are Chief Diversity Officer and Environmental Justice positions. Several large U.S. companies have ended or scaled back their DEI programs in recent weeks, including McDonald's, Walmart, Facebook, parent company Meta. Others, like Apple and retailers, Target and Costco, they have publicly defended their DEI programs. Mr. Tillery said that while he believes the former Biden administration's effort to add DEI positions across government was well-intentioned, it did not meet its goals. The DEI jobs were underfunded, understaffed. The people doing the work were heroes with very few resources, he said, but now we are going to go to zero. So if you are happy to hear that DEI is going to zero, let me know in the comments. Are you glad to see an end to the DEI? Let me know your thoughts, but we're hearing that that is going to be coming to an end. DEI offices, they should have closed now roughly about 2 hours ago, I think. If I'm not mistaken, it's currently 5:50 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Houston, Texas. So it looks like DEI has come to an end. I am seeing yeses starting to come in. People are saying they are glad to see this gone. Now, let me go ahead and play for you this video clip. This is the DEI video footage so you can see it for yourself.
We are just hours away from the end of all DEI programs in those dedicated departments in the federal government. The Office of Personnel Management is set at 5 p.m. Eastern to meet the deadline for all government agencies to close those offices, and the employees, for at least the time being, will be on paid administrative leave. That follows President Trump's executive orders to bring an end to DEI and to make America merit-based. So he's going to do that at the federal level and restore the importance of our individual efforts within the workforce. During his inaugural address, President Trump made very clear his intentions to create a colorblind society.
I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Yesterday, the president signed an executive order ending Biden's, quote, forced, illegal, and immoral discrimination, end quote, in the federal workforce and directing the government to serve every person with equal dignity and respect. However, liberal leaders are up in arms about the idea of merit-based society. Here's the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Why do we have DEI? We had DEI because you denied us diversity. You denied us equity. You denied us inclusion. DEI was a remedy to the racial institutional bigotry practiced in academia and in these corporations. Now you want to put us back in the back of the bus. We're going to do the Dr. King Rosa Parks on you.
So we only have data on DEI going back to 2021 and 2022 when it first started. So we don't have any conclusive data that this is the answer to diversity, equity, and inclusion improving. So we don't even know if this program is successful or not. So I'm not sure if we want to say that this is the remedy to bigotry. In addition to that, right now they're trying to equate this to a civil rights movement. And he said we're going to be calling upon Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King. We're going to do this again. Well, not exactly. You see, if you listen to what Dr. King had to say, he said he dreamt of a world where people were going to be judged based upon the content of their character, not the color of their skin. DEI initiatives, they often identify characteristics such as race and gender as the primary factors of inclusion. This could be exactly in conflict with what it was we saw Dr. King aspire for with a merit-based society. And he said this is equating to putting people to the back of the bus. Now, does not necessarily mean it's reverting to discrimination, but rather it could signify a shift towards a system where individuals are going to be evaluated based upon the qualifications and performance that they bring to the workplace. So we're not sure that this is the end-all, be-all answer.
And The View co-host Sunny Hostin launched her own attack.
And thinking about that, and Donald Trump saying things that this country would be a meritocracy, you're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit. He hasn't he had no political experience whatsoever. He had no business experience. He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire. He is, if anything, a DEI hire, a didn't earn it hire.
I'm just, my head is spinning. Ben, where is your Sunny Hostin and Reverend Sharpton decoder ring?
Yeah, I think you look at Al Sharpton, this is like, all right, I'm going to get my network back going. I'm going to raise some money. This is a great moment for me. I go back to Martin Luther King because he quotes Martin Luther King like he's on Martin Luther King's side. He's the exact opposite. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that for my 4 children, 4 little children, we will one day live in a nation where we will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character. That is exactly what the president is now saying. We don't need a melting pot that you organize in some liberal woke agenda where you say, how many transgenders do we need? How many gays? How many straights? How many African Americans? How many Asian Americans? He's saying we're going back to merit base. We want to look at Americans not based on do you fill a quota for this country or for our business, but instead we choose you because you're the best person to do the job regardless of the color of your skin. Al Sharpton needs to go back and watch that speech.
Yeah. So the way I look at this too, Cheryl, is everything that Ben just said, and I would add this, it also requires that you do your job.
Yes.
And part of your character be work ethic. Mm-hmm. All of the things together, and when you don't, they get rid of you.
Yeah.
And DEI promises that what? You get to keep the job forever?
Read the EO. It's right here, folks. This is the EO. Here you go. Reward individual initiative, skills, performance, and hard work.
Merit-based.
Why is that controversial? Did Al Sharpton not read the executive order? Pretty sure he didn't because he thought about fundraising. But let me tell you something. We saw this in corporate America. We've talked about this already, guys. We saw Amazon and Walmart and Meta, John Deere, Harley, that's their ticker. They all started to get rid of DEI initiatives a year ago because it didn't make sense. If you look at a report from 2022 when the Biden administration actually put down these policies, and this was about, let me give you the direct quote. This is about making sure that there was, gender equality, gender markers, pronouns, transgender, nonconforming, non-binary, all of that. Another report in 2020 formed back and looked at if it was successful, and it wasn't. There were minor changes in federal employee and employment stats. It was a waste of money and a waste of time, guys.
Kelly, you know what really stands out to me as the former child of a military family. I don't know if this yet touches the federal government and the U.S. military part of it, because DEI is something, and a woke agenda is something that you heard Pete Hegseth and a lot of people talking about during his confirmation hearings, and how that has held back in some cases our ability to really be ready militarily.
It's such an important point. And in fact, what we saw is DEI, the DOD, Department of Defense, spent $68 million on it, and that number went up to $114 million by the end of Biden's presidency. Department of Education spent $1 billion with a B. But what is so insidious to me in that executive order you have there, it begins by talking about Executive Order 13985. That was one of the first acts of Biden as president. It was a DEI executive order. We were all sitting here on this couch for 2 years talking about critical race theory. And then it was actually Governor DeSantis' office that said there's this new term, it's DEI. We weren't even talking about it, right? Yeah. But it goes back to day one of Biden's presidency. He had everyone submit equity plans, every department. So you think they're focusing on China and Russia at the Pentagon? No, they're focusing on equity. This was this man's priority, and no wonder we're all messed up as a country right now.
So what Trump is doing is replacing the word equity with equality, which is where, equality,
what a great idea.
You get the opportunity, you have to earn keeping it.
So what is one of the big problems in our country right now? Our institutions, including the federal government, don't have the respect of people. This will help reinstall the respect of people and respect for people who hold those positions, those government jobs, who are racial minorities, right? As soon as you know the rules have changed and people are getting hired because they deserve the job, guess what? I think the respect for those institutions will rise.
All right, make America merit-based again.
Yes.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? We're hearing that the DEI, it is gone. The DEI has DIE'd, and now we are hearing that it's going to be based upon your character, upon your skill set, upon your ability to perform work. And if you think that that is good, go ahead and hit that like button for me if you haven't done so yet.